I was just saying at the end of childhood, talking about childhood today, one of the ends of childhood, you know, in very compounded ways, was going from grade 7, 12 years old, to grade 8, at the end of which I would have turned 13. So 12 years old just seems to come up all the time, where all of a sudden, I talked about when you're a child, between the age of 9, say, and 21, at least in a dysfunctional family, I realized that, without realizing it really, that my relationships to all my relatives were not what I thought they were, and I had to form completely new ones, as though these people had never met me, they didn't need to know anything about me, and now I had to be like, hey, Uncle Tony, hey, this is some stuff about me. You too, yeah, I love you being my uncle. Yeah, this is some stuff about me. It's really good and amazing, and nobody ever hurt me or molested me. Right on, Uncle Tony. And you have to be this person in the world, like shake hands, like, yeah, I'm good. I got a job down at the mill. Yeah, I got a girl pregnant. Yeah, working hard like Rocky. It's like, and you could just make up a story. I could have lied to any of my relatives. Said, oh yeah, I'm working down the A&P. Yeah, I'm working on my diploma in accounting so I can add stuff up for eternity. Yeah, right. It wouldn't have mattered. It would not have mattered. And so in a family where it meant a good deal that I wasn't working, it didn't matter. It wouldn't have mattered what the fuck I was doing. It didn't fucking matter. None of these people cared. They had nothing in them, and still nice people. But it's like, it's how they relate to children. It's how you had to form a new relationship with them. If I wanted to enjoy their company, I had to take an interest in them. Have you ever gone to a place for coffee and you had to ask them how they were doing? You know, good day. I've had like one person I knew was a bisexual woman, just a crazy woman, and you kind of had to engage them, or they would just turn your back to you. There was no professional service, nothing. They just didn't care that you were there. They did something differently than other people. Instead of feeling that they were responsible to notice you and to get you a coffee or a scone, because that was the whole purpose for them being there. The coffee scone area, like their advertising, is that she would turn her back to me, and I would just wait there, sometimes 5, 10 minutes at a time, and I'd just lean against the counter, and I'd be like, and then when she turned around, she wouldn't say, "Oh, hi, how can I help you?" She would say, "What do you want?" And I'd get my coffee, and then I would go, "Dude, right, a bull dyke, essentially." And sometimes one day I did some shopping and I put on I'll get some bananas because there's fruit all around me. I'll get some of this. And I started filling up the counter and shopping. One day the manager was there and said, "Oh, how you doing?" I said, "Oh, good." And I'm sitting there and nobody's serving me for like 10 minutes. And there's all these people walking around. And then one day, like one staffer came in and said, "Oh, what can I get for you?" You know, as you see, it's a codependent environment. And it got a lot worse than that, actually. And I eventually got that lady fired. And I got a few people fired, but that's a long story, and that happened a bit later. But a conflagration of evil, you might say, evil forces and yin energy. And where there is evil, there's always women. That's very important. Where there is evil, there's always women. And it's a very difficult concept for people. It's almost like you have to be a witch to talk about the concept. You can't just be someone in gender studies. You can't be someone who's just formed some strong ideas about men and women. You have to understand energy at a deeper level. Because what I'm saying about people, what I'm saying about evil, is not just what people say or who they are. It's how you feel, and it's what things smell like to you. So if you grow up as I did, and things didn't smell right to me at all. The awful concept that I got used to is like my mom and dad are one way when they're at home and they're one way when they're out. And there's a vast difference between the two. And it makes me sick now to think of it. That my None of my relatives, and I actually studied this, I actually created a test for my relatives to see, and as I've tested other people, I do this sort of intuitively, automatically, as you may find yourself. Like, we will test people. There are things that will test their friendship and test their loyalty, test their interest. And what I found is that if you've done a test, and you'd have to be very crafty about how you did it, to find out whether or not these people, they could still care about you. They're glad you're alive, or glad you're not dead or suffering, because that would bum them out. No one wants to be bummed out, right? So they care about you. You care about people because you don't want to be bummed out. Because, oh, Landon lost his car and got raped by a pimp. It's like, oh, shit, fuck. I love Landon, but is to find out how interested they are. And what I found out is that the interest level was 0 in me as a person. So seeing relatives here or there, going to the houses by the age of 21, by the age of 30, by the age of 35, by the age of 40, you're still kind of, where are you? Where are you? I did a film, a short feature film when I was in high school, and one of the lines I got a certain member of my family to utter, and I got my dad in it too, and my mom. They're wandering around like an orphan in the woods because they're camping with their family. They've lost them, and going, Mom, Dad, where are you? Where are you? So I had this film and I showed it to my entire family where he goes, Mom, Dad, where are you? That's witchcraft, right? That's natural witchcraft. Mom, Dad, where are you? It's one of the most, to me, iconic lines from the entire film. And you could watch it, it's an amateur film, blah, blah, blah. But, Mom, Dad, where are you? Is a question on the heart and the minds of millions of children and millions of so-called adults every day who weren't treated as people when they were children. And as they get older, they have to become completely different people in order to be able to interact with the people that knew them when they were children. And we call this adolescence. It's you're addling their essence. You're actually now abusing them. They're growing. And the lack of interest and the lack of communication with them, and the lack of interest in their thinking and feeling, which basically you're not even allowed to have as an adult because nobody gives a fuck what you're thinking and feeling every day, right? It's never been connected to. And now you have to rebuild all of your relationships, like being in a video game where you're building up the foundation. It's basically like a sandbox, and you're building up experiences of thinking and feeling in the clouds and the sky and going camping, and then all of a sudden it's just a dark, Gotham City, and you have to build new big buildings of like, this is who I am, and oh, hey, Uncle Vic, you're another building, and my mom, my Auntie Joe is another building, and okay, hi, I'm this building that's fully grown now. Oh yeah, I don't talk about childhood things anymore. It's job and girlfriends and my car. So I don't have a car, but I'm working on it. I don't have a girlfriend, I'm working on that. And I don't have a job, and I'm working on that. So I'm working pretty good there, Uncle Vic. And they don't have anything else to talk to you about. And this has been going on for generations. Where's the child? And a lot of people actually never even think about this. They never even think about it. And they become parents themselves. And they've gone from being children to being parents, like overnight. And now it's like, no, now I'm on the other side. And do you think they're going to give those children enough attention? Here's the thing. Like in Rocky, the first movie, and he's training and he's running. And at the very end, he runs up those steps. I don't know if it's Philadelphia. And how he's training the muscle memory to, as you'll see in the movies, is recapitulated that when he's fully exhausted and he's gone as far as he can go, how he's able to turn on Turbo Rocky. And then if you had a Turbo Rocky at the end of a 15-round bout, Turbo Rocky stands a higher percentage chance of winning because the other guy may not have as big a turbo as Turbo Rocky. So like sports events can be won in that last few minutes, right? And this works well for the movie because that's the crescendo or whatever the climax of the film. Dun 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 dun. Ah! Now he starts fighting back. Uppercut. Oh, he's bleeding. He's human. Right? And he climbs those stairs to develop the muscle memory of Turbo Rocky. I'm at the end of my run. Does he do a film where he gets to the steps and goes, yeah, that's good. Let's go back to the weight room. No, he runs up the steps. And then he goes, yeah. And he's celebrating, going through the muscle memory of winning a fight after going through Turbo Rocky. Right? Very smart, very athletic. And when you have a child, you have all this work that parents say. It's so much work to have a child. You do all this work, and you do all your jobs, and you're dealing with this, that, everything else. And then you need turbo parent. You still need to be interested in their thoughts and feelings. And in my family, that was it. They didn't go up those steps. They didn't have turbo parenting, where you can do all the shit that you think you're supposed to do every day and feed them and make sure they're still alive, and then have turbo parent. Okay, all that other shit to one side, because children don't care how much work it is to keep them. That's up to you. Make it as efficient as you fucking can. They don't give a fuck. Why should they? They're children. So you can get them to give a fuck, that's up to you. But at the end of the day, they need your interest in their thoughts and feelings, because their thoughts and feelings are all by themselves. They're all by themselves in the world. They're learning about themselves all by themselves. And it's not just in a book. They might read a book, but your thinking and feeling self is different than a book. It doesn't belong in school. Children may not even feel like they can be themselves in school. They may not be able to be themselves in their own home. You've got to show them that a home is a place where their thinking and feeling is valued. It doesn't have to be, but you choose to value it because you care enough about them, and you turn on turbo parent. And he's like, hey, how are you thinking? What's going on in your mind? What are you feeling? And you don't even have to ask them that. You can talk to them in such a way that you can find out that from children, right? You can even, over time, stimulate their ability to think and feel about how they're thinking and feeling, so they can start doing it themselves and finding out how they're thinking and feeling. And the earlier you can do that, the better. That a child can think about how they're thinking and feeling. Oh, I feel alone right now. Or I feel happy. Or I didn't feel good when something happened. What didn't you feel good about? Yeah, I didn't feel good at that moment when Auntie Jan threw a cigarette at little Bobby. I felt really bad. Oh yeah. Yeah, okay. I'll have to talk to Auntie Jan about that. Because, he wouldn't want a cigarette thrown at him, because that would be degrading. He doesn't know that, but he's terrified of it. See, because children have a sense of self, and you can hurt that. Even though they're soft, you can terrify and hurt their sense of self. And if you do that, they won't even tell you. And the brain itself will turn in on itself, and it won't even tell the child. And they'll get older, and maybe they'll start throwing cigarettes at people. And you've just trained them to throw cigarettes at people through trauma. And anything and everyone around them, that they're yelling, or they're talking about someone being a cunt or a cow. My Uncle Vic, one of the last things I heard him talk about was in front of children, talking about how his sister-in-law was just a cow. She's just a cow. I don't even know what they were talking about. I was sitting there and it was like they were drunk. My Aunt Penny, who's this voluminous, fat white woman smoking cigarettes, just like, she's always presents the same image to the world since I was a child. Always the same image. Always this sort of cool, confident, earnest wealth. I'm wealthy, and we've worked at it. And she's just, I'm having my cigarettes. In my house, she had a certain territory, you can see that. And she got to smoke cigarettes. And she would smoke them around Uncle Vic. I could see all the time. He died of cancer, by the way. Secondhand smoke is worse than firsthand smoke. But she got her territory. And eventually she got his wealth and everything. And she probably doesn't even know what she's doing. She's smoking. I'm sitting actually 15 feet behind them because I didn't want to sit around them. And I'm 35 at the time. I'm a man, right? And I'm sitting there, and they don't care about me. I'm sitting farther away than anyone there. Their brother or sister, he's got a couple children. I just find a stool and I bring it there. And it's like, they might wonder why I'm sitting over there. Well, when I saw my Uncle Vic after 25 years, he called me a faggot based on my physical appearance and the clothes I was wearing. I've been living on a Gulf island. I was wearing tie pants and a shirt, whatever was comfortable, right? So right away, as a sociopath, he eliminated any value to my self-image immediately. First thing he did. Is that a coincidence? But here's the thing. I took it, and to talk to him, you wouldn't think he even meant it. He almost started to become childlike in his house. In a certain sense, I don't think he ever really grew up. But whether he meant it or not, it was evil. He completely eliminated my sense of self. And the only other thing he said to me, again, was demeaning. He was asking me about whether or not I had medical insurance. It was like, that's a personal question. It's like, yes. And it's like, oh, good. Good, you're okay. Because, that's all you got, essentially, is medical insurance, right? And there's no effort to treat me like a man who has established any experience or has established himself at all in the world. Like he was treating me like a male who's never established anything. I've gone through experiences. I've been raped by women. I've dealt with a lot of, let's just say, very difficult but high-performing people. There are a lot of people in the world, a lot of women who are rapists, and they're not what you think they are. They're not. And it's a very difficult subject, and it's very hard for men to talk about because people think men get erections and they can't be raped. And it's like, all done. It's like, you've been having boys and girls for how many centuries and you don't know that men can be raped? It's like, that's pretty fucking weird. That's so fucking weird. You don't even fucking know. To someone who's a rape victim, that people don't talk about or know that men can be raped, and even men don't know. And I've talked to them and studied men. They'll tell you things, and it's like, they don't seem to know that that's sexual assault, what women are doing to them. I've seen popular TV shows. One of the most popular TV shows of all time, I won't say the name, talked about a man being raped. And the conclusion is a joke where he goes, hey, you got to have sex, didn't you? Yeah, I guess. And this is what you're seeing on television. And that's patriarchy. That's male or father sacrifice, the sacrifice of the father. And I've seen it. The perfect example of patriarchy is a young, affluent female, good-looking, big breasts, on one of these Gulf islands, who, I could tell you other things about her, who presents as a completely wonderful sort of Quakery granola type of girl, works in massage therapy, got her massage certificate in Hawaii, and lived on the beach with hippies for a while and all this sort of, has a big picture of Stonehenge in her bedroom. And you meet this person and think, oh, okay, this is very sort of slim and slight and feminine. This woman sacrificed the father of her first child. I won't tell you how, but she did. Well, she raped an underage man, or had sex with him, right? And I won't go into detail, but the first night I met her, I could see that she had no sexual boundaries and extremely lowered moral and sexual inhibitions. None, really, basically. I mean, the first night she met me, she would have gone down and sucked my cock from shaft to tip, up and down, no problem. No problem. I could have had her sucking my cock in no time. She was ready to suck my dick, curl my balls, and whatever else she wanted me to do to her body. I mean, there was nothing. I remember my stomach just turning inside of me. There was nothing attractive about this woman, even though she was slim and wanted to have sex with me and all this. It was like the least attractive person I'd ever met in my life. You know what the odd thing is, and this gives you an idea of the subject nature and men like me and women like that, is that I got a crush on her by the next day and started writing poetry over time. Isn't that amazing? Even when she was carrying the baby of this young man that she raped, I was still a little bit into her. Not completely, but enough that it could get me writing some poetry, which I enjoy. At least I got something out of it. It gives you some idea of the male, at least this kind of male mind. At that point in my life, when I didn't know that women she had sexually assaulted me all of my life. That I didn't know anything about sex. I just knew how to be sexually assaulted. The first sexual encounter I ever had was a woman around my age who was an engineer who came from an affluent American family and was married to another engineer in Germany, who broke into my house, came from another country after a couple little messages online and some astrology dating chat thing, which is pretty much the height of my articulation of my interest in the vajayjay by that point in my life, and broke into my house and stayed there for 3 months and raped me. Right? Got pregnant, had an abortion, and left. And that was the last I saw him. The last I saw him is I put a key on the counter and said, anything I can do, call me, I'll be at this number. And I came back and the key was there and she was gone. She didn't want anything from me, right? Why didn't she want something from me? My family has money. She could have had anything she wanted, right? But she didn't, because she knew what she'd done. Unbeknownst to me, for the next 25 years, my own mother